So here is my kitchen when you first come in to my apartment. The kitchen, and here are some dishes and a thermos where there is coffee in. And then here are my coats, raincoats and jackets and capes and all of that. And here is my refrigerator, you know, and here is actually some stuff, medical stuff and things like that. And then here is my bathroom inside here, my bathroom. And then here is my actual home, my little small home apartment where I live right now. And I'm satisfied and very glad and happy in this tiny, tiny little house. Here is where all my clothes and accessories are in this wardrobe. All of my clothes, and even more clothes, I can't even count how many clothes I have. So many clothes. Yeah. And then here is a year calendar. And here is my original electric bass that I used when I created my album Better This Way, back in 2014. And as you can see here is all of my Lego that I've built, from Lego. It actually looks, cooler and bigger in reality than in this video. And here are, a mirror, and even more Lego here. Donald Duck, going on. And even more here. Cars and other stuff from Lego. I've got this lamp, and an old Nintendo Game Boy here in its bag. And here is like a little city that I built from Lego, on my table. And here is actually a collection of Nintendo DS Lite games. And here is like, the rest of the city from Lego, Well, basically, here's where I live, Lots of stuff, in this small, tiny home, Here is a vacuum cleaner and, microwave, and a heating element, And here is where all the magic happens, on this table, my music player, my headphones, my tablet, and its keyboard, my MIDI keyboard, my computer, my laptop, an arcade stick, actually, yes, some hand cream, speakers, and my big TV, from Samsung. and some pens, and some Game Boy and other games. So yeah, and my chair, where I sit and create my music, besides my studio. And here is my bed actually at the corner of my apartment, where I live. Here's a Lego set that I didn't open yet, creator, And here's a table, where I show some stuff, near my bed, beside my bed, So yeah, so here's so this is basically where I live, and this is basically how I live right now. Simple, and and here is my balcony, and it's been raining today, But I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm so happy, my fans that love my music and so, and that I'm showing you how I live and just trying to be, all the way honest and just show you who how I really am and who I really are. You know, Another wardrobe where there are, even more clothes. Yeah. So that is like, that is like it. Here are my shoes. My shoes, and I've got more in my wardrobe. So yeah. So let's just go outside to show you how it looks like. Yeah. So that was it. Goodbye, everyone, and have a good day. Mwahaha.